It is so windy. Our wind chimes outside are triggering my microphone. All right, we are live, everybody. It is Tuesday. It is needle felting day. We're going to try to work on this magnet some more. No promises on how far we get. My neck is, once again, not happy, as always. So, we'll see. We'll see. I've got the stuff pulled out in case we get that far. I don't think we will today, but I've got this. I managed to get some of the fluff bags topped off so far. Since last weekend, I'm not anywhere near done topping off. I've only gone through the one container of yarn. Well, it's a half container of yarn. The other half has the leftover tissue paper, which I do want to do a tissue paper project with. I don't know if I'm going to stream that or not, but I do want to do one. Kind of want to stream one, but we'll see. And I've got like 8 balls of yarn left to go through in the one container, and then container number 2, which is full of yarn. I haven't had the chance to go through yet, so I'm hoping this weekend I'll be able to do that, since I don't think I need to record any Little Known Galaxy this week. I got a batch recorded last weekend, so I think this weekend I'm just gonna take the time to catch up on craft chores, so to speak, that need to be dealt with. Alright, so when we last left off, I actually wanted to start sooner than this today, but life. So, when we last left off, oh, by the way, I'm rusty on the needle felting ones, because it's been a while since we've done them regularly. We're following along with Bob Ross's Joy of Painting tutorials for this magnet series. We are my brain just stopped. We are following along with season 30 at the moment, and we are on episode 3. We did episode 1, and it didn't look anything like his, because he did some funny stuff with gesso and whatnot that I couldn't replicate with this method, this medium. And episode 2, there was no way, because of all of the weird stuff that he did with paint thinner and whatnot, that was gonna be worth replicating, because it made the actual piece like inset and even smaller, and had like this weird background going on in it, and I'm like, that's okay. So and the piece was more about the inset painting. It was more focused on the background technique, so I was like, okay, we'll just not do that one. And so we skipped ahead to episode 3. The link to that tutorial in full is pinned in the chat. That will take you to his the YouTube channel where his stuff is stored and archived. I have the tutorial in the bottom corner. It is muted. I do have captions on. So if you can't really see it or understand what's going on, the link is pinned in the chat. Now, we're going to pick up where we left off last week, which was working on getting some of this shrubbery in place here on this side edge. And we've got quite a bit still to pop into place here. So like I said, I don't know that I'm gonna quite finish this today. We'll see. I'll try to keep things moving today, but we'll see. So we are working small. I know I'm zoomed in and it's hard to tell, but this is our needle, handle, and needle. This is 3 inches by 3 inches. So I guess to give some perspective, this is a toothpick, right? I don't really have anything else for, oh, I have a chapstick. That's usually a standard size. So, you know, it's about the size that we're working with here. Just so y'all have some sort of size scale. Like, I'm not sure why he bothered getting this shrub in the background, because he just completely obliterated it. But maybe there's a tiny bit peeking through the tree. So we'll go ahead and attempt to add it in. Now, thickness is a concern because we don't want it to be thicker than the width of our frame, right? Like, we don't want it to be thicker than this. We don't want it to be that high. So when we're done, I'm going to take the razor that I used to clean the mat, and we're going to shave down the back a little bit and hope that we're able to maybe just take that down a little bit, and then, you know, any of like the longer fuzz will be taken off. So that way it sticks a little bit better when we glue it into place as well. Now, when he did the highlight, or the snow light, I guess, on this shrub, he had mixed some titanium white, possibly liquid white, into a little bit of his bright red, and made like a light pink. So I grabbed this, I think it's ballet pink, that I'm going to try to work in here as a bit of a highlight for where snow is going to grab. Is someone on the porch? Or is it just the buckets rattling around?
I don't see anything.
Alright. So it's really hard to see the pinkness of this one. 1 second. Sorry, our caller ID on our phone tells us who's calling, so just needed to mute there for a second. Yeah, so it's hard to, because there's a lot of white in this one, it's hard to tell that it's more on a pink side until it starts getting layered up on itself. And that's okay, because in his, you don't really, like, you can maybe see the slightest tinge of, pink to parts of it, at least on the cameras that they were using at the time. So I'm grabbing very, very tiny amounts of fluff here. And then I'm thinning it out a little bit more. Right, because we need to think about the shape of our shrub. Right, and where the snow might be laying on it. And it might take a couple of layers to do that, depending on how thin your piece is, how wispy it is. Because if it's like super, super thin, sometimes you can stab it and the strands will just kind of melt into the background where you don't see them at all. So, I mean, don't panic if that happens. Just grab another small bit of fluff and then try again. Let me grab one of my frame pieces here. So we are going to lose a little bit of that. That's all right. I mean, it's inevitable, right? Just because of how we're going to frame this. Now, you can just pop it into a regular picture frame that's already made if you want. You might have to take the glass out of it so that it'll fit, though. But, I mean, that's also an option. You don't have to build the frame that I'm going to. And my frames don't look spectacular up close. They're a little messy, but, you know, I try. I definitely try. Kind of sad I don't have more stuff to take to the farmer's market this spring. But that's the way it goes sometimes. Got a few things left that didn't get a home last time. But I also didn't take any of my gouache paintings, and I've got a couple of those that I'm going to try to remember to take this time. Because unfortunately these things do take a little bit of time, and you know, we were also gone for 2 weeks. So that kind of ate into working time, and Christmas gifts took a little bit of time. So I have an idea for like a panoramic needle felting one. I can do those. I have a backing large enough for them. I don't know what I want to do about building the frame for it, because I don't quite have a frame big enough. I would have to piecemeal it, so I might need to get some wood putty. And I might have to build that off stream because the wood putty, wood filler would need to dry. And I'm not entirely sure how long that might take to dry. Okay, so give me that. And I'm gonna tuck that. Yeah, that was Ballet Pink from Paintbox. Alright. So now he put in these two trees and he used a darker color. I think we might go with our dark denim. Actually, give me 1 second. I will be right back. Alright, sorry about that. I'm fighting a bit of a headache. I didn't want to completely cancel today, but I am fighting one. Alright, so we're going to get a little bit of water. These are not my favorite trees to do, especially this size. They are tricky for me working small. So let's see if we can attempt to pull this off here. Kind of easier said. And then done for the most part. I'm just trying to kind of build that like back and forth kind of shape. I've done I've done these types of trees in a couple different ways before. This is one of the ways that I have done them. Another way I have done them is where I kind of put my tree trunk in. And then do little appendages hanging off of the tree trunk on each side. That's a little bit easier to do on the slightly larger ones. I am going to need to come back in here with a bit more fluff. Because these are just kind of vibes. Like, maybe this way now, maybe that way now. And the third way I've done these is smaller. I'll work from the bottom up usually and go like smaller and smaller lengths laid over the tree trunks and kind of like a elongated C shape or an upside down U. But these are a little bit tricky when you're working this small. For me, at least. So I'm just gonna stretch this guy out a little bit. Just trying to tighten him up a little bit. So just another drop of water on my fingertip, and then I shook off the excess back into the cup. Don't need this to be saturated. It's not really going to do anything for your cause here. We just want it, we're basically just getting enough friction on our finger and just enough dampness where we can get our fluff to shape. That's all it really is. And I'm trying to remember, I need this to be a little bit wider as we are coming down. Or at least we're trying to make it a little bit wider. On the downward swing here. I mean, if your tree isn't, then your tree isn't. I mean, you can kind of attempt to direct the fluff to do what you want it to, but at the same time, I've also found that fluff is gonna do what fluff is gonna do. And after a certain point, you're just kind of there seeing how it's gonna play out, essentially. Oh gosh, and he's got another one in there. Maybe I didn't move this one over far enough. I don't really know that I can get the other one in there and have it look like a tree. I might leave out the little guy. Because, I mean, it's a lot easier with paint, right? But I'm also going to lose a good portion of what's on this side. So I'm thinking I might leave it. Because that's going to be... It's just going to look like a mass of blue. Because we're working so small. And I still have to highlight this. I think I'm going to leave it out. I'm making an executive decision. So let's come back over to here. All right, let's see. What's he gonna do? So I'm gonna take white, liquid white, and phthalo blue. I had a feeling there was gonna be an ad in there soon. There's a bunch in there. Okay. All right. I mean, that's pretty blue. And then he's gonna start highlighting that. He highlighted both of them. All right, let's see. What's he gonna do? Like, he scrapes half of this out too, so. I mean, I'm not opposed to putting another tree in there. So he's making pink again. You just, why? You made the pink. Okay. So he's got a two-tone now. Alright, and then he's gonna highlight the shrubbies at the bottom. Alright. Now what are you doing? Oh, and then he's gonna add some snow. Okay, Bob. We don't want to get too carried away. So, like, I'm not opposed to adding another shrub or something in there. It's just trying to do another one of those big trees was gonna be a little problematic. That might be a little big. I put lotion on earlier and my hands are still not quite frictiony enough to grip the fluff while I'm trying to shape it. Cats! Can we just, like, have a few minutes of not being assholes? Is that possible? Do you think maybe? Okay, and, you know, we're probably gonna lose a good portion of this shrub to the edge of the frame. So, you know, just be prepared for that to happen. Don't be upset. Gonna do like a solid blobby guy in there. Well, I did end up using most of this. I guess we could have used all of it and just kind of kept stabbing till it was all in place. Okay, that's a lot of fluff right there. Didn't realize that was hanging out there. Okay. There's that. Okay. Stuck. Stick that back in that box or bag. Alright, so this blue shade, it really kind of feels like a cornflower blue to me. as far as comparing it to shades of blue that I have available to me. All right, so a little bit of water just to give me the slightest dampness to help shape this and to give my hand enough friction to do something with this guy. Now this is pretty thin. And if you wanted to do that the same way that you did your tree itself, by all means, go right ahead. But because this is thinner, smaller, I'm gonna have a little bit easier of a time. Laying some of this down just on top of it and just doing some snipping. Now if you do snip extra off, make sure you do go back and stab in the end that like you cut from, where you cut it loose, because you'll have little loose fibers sticking up. That'll be just kind of willy-nilly. Kind of all over the place. That one's just got a little bit of a tail there. So I'm just gonna kind of work that in there. All right, and I'm gonna grab a little bit more. So we have a little bit more tree here. And if you don't like that super thin stringy tail, you can always like wrap it or fold it back into the rest of it and just kind of try to get it to wrap up in there. Sometimes it wraps up better than others. And you know, just kind of figure out where you want your shadowy snow to be laying. And then just, you know, kind of start to work that in. And I'll probably have to, yep, I need to get another bit of blue. Sorry, it looked like that one little bit wasn't quite as attached as I would have liked it to. And that's fine. If you see something that looks a little loose or what have you, you can go back and stab it some more. You are allowed at this stage. I mean, this is the stage where you want to fix it, right? Not when we glue it to the backing, because once we've glued it in place, you have to be happy with it, right? Like, there's no more adjustments to be made at that point, because you can't stab into a solid backing, so... This is the point where if you still have a little bit of time to make some changes, because we haven't put it on the wood backing yet, but if you need to adjust something or slightly change something, you are going to want to make that decision very soon. At the very least, before you glue it down into place. I'm going to kind of work that guy into there. He stopped a little higher, probably because he's going to put some more shrubbies in at the base of this, but that's okay. Alright, so we got our snow in place there. On that one. And then this guy, this little guy, gonna kind of do him like I did the other one. And just kind of try to shape that a little. And see about attempting to tack that in place, right? Because I didn't really do the full tree, I just kind of did a little baby shrubby blob. And we'll see what sticks. That was interesting for what stuck there. Lost my fluff. Alright, I'm not gonna worry too much about the rest of that shrub because we can't really see it. Alright, now we're gonna come back to our dark blue. And one of the nicer parts about working small is that we don't use nearly as much fluff as we would working like in 8x10 or something. We don't use nearly as much. I'm gonna try to put some shrubbies. Into here. Because I still have to get a cabin in here. So I'm being a little scrunched up in there, just a teeny bit. All right. Get that kind of smooshed in there around the base of that. Now, he did a combo of pinky blue. I can attempt to do that, but it's not going to be as controlled if I mix them together. Because, you know, we've mixed colors together before, especially when doing our little grass pieces. So I'm gonna put in our pinky bits first. All right, excuse me 1 second. I need to take care of something. Oh. Oh my goodness, we are under another fire weather warning. Post link advertising. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry about that. Had to take care of that real quick. For the winds. So you might occasionally hear a ping from the wind chimes in the background. They're saying we can have gusts 40 to 50. And oh my goodness, our allergies are freaking out. Like, they bothered us a little bit while we were away this time, but not like this. Like, I was able to tolerate it without allergy medication while we were gone. I had some with me in case I needed it. But ever since we've been back, oh my goodness, it's not been fun times in that regards. There's a specific type of tree that seems to be problematic for us. You okay? I could hear all of the stuff on our front porch banging around. Of course, it's gonna be windy. Well, no, the wind's supposed to die down later. But I was like, it's gonna be windy as heck, and I've got to put recycling out tonight. Like, I have to. I didn't put it out last week because of how windy it was. But we are overflowing. I mean, we could take it up there ourselves, but I don't want to. Because the gates only open until a specific time to be able to access the recycling bins. Which seems silly to me. It's recycling. Like, it closes early. I think at like 2. They lock the fence, and I'm like, or lock the gate, and I'm like, people work. What are y'all doing? 2 seems a little early to be locking the gate to get to the recycling bins. So I'm just kind of adding that blue snow shadow along the bottom of that shrubbery. Okay, so let me grab that. All right, and then he added in, my fuzz stuck to my face. Then he added in some white. Definitely have to refill the white. Haven't gotten to the white yet, but I definitely need to refill it. Hopefully I can get to that this week. I was gonna try to refill some stuff last night to help speed the refill process along, but husband had D&D, and it's a little scritchy. In the background. And with multiple people talking, even though he had his noise canceling headphones on, I don't know if it was going to bleed into the background or if it was going to, somehow he was going to hear it. I don't know. But I couldn't really work on it last night. So I worked a little bit on my learn to stitch stuff, like learn the stitches. And then wasn't quite sure what to do with myself after that point, so I was just kind of stuck sitting here for a while staring at YouTube. I mean, I guess I could have tried to paint, but I was kind of like, meh. We're just kind of working in our little bit of a snow hill here. getting in that streaky bit of snow coming down this hill here. Just seeing if I had any loose sections there, because sometimes when it's stringy and real super thin, it's hard to visually see them unless you like move them and then you see, oh, okay, it's scrunched up there. Right, I still need to do that section. Okay. So I'm gonna finish working in our snow hill here. As best as we can. Right. I mean, that's not super visible. You can kind of see it on the camera there. You can see it a little bit more in person. I'm not sure if I really need to add the deep shadow, but I guess we will. Brush the back down there. All right. Let me tuck that into there. So the deep shadow would need the dark denim, I suppose. Sorry, I've got some of this sitting behind the microphone. Okay, that was a little thicker than I was looking for, but see if I can get a little bit thinner. Like, that was probably more along the lines of what I was really looking for there, but kind of is what it is. So I mean, I could come back in and add some white on top of it to try to not make it quite so deep, but I think the cabin's gonna sit in there, so I don't know that it really needs to be a huge issue at the moment. Alright, so we're kind of up to that point. Let's see where we're at, Bob. He's got about less than 10 minutes left. Okay, so he's gonna put the cabin in there. Now, we can't really do that. So we're gonna have to figure it out. So he's gonna take Van Dyke Brown. I have a chocolate brown that should do the trick. And then he kind of weathers it. Alright, so then he's gonna do the roof. Alright, so we're still gonna need our white a bit. Alright, and he does the teeniest amount around the door. And then he's gonna clean up around that with up a little bit more. No. Oh, Bob. Okay, so before he gets a little too carried away there. This feels more like an emergency shack than a place that somebody lives in. Alright. He's gonna do something silly on the other side. He's got that look. He's got the silly look. Alright. Pretty sure I'm done with that shade for now. Alright, so let's kind of work out the shape of our cabin here. So I'm going to put it in a slightly different spot. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that. And maybe there. And then this to there. My cabins are always slightly misshapen, but you know what? It's okay. It's hard to get the straight lines with the fluff. It's not easy. So I know he didn't put the base roof on his, but I'm going to just to make life a little bit easier. Or at least try to. I did tuck that in a little bit there. Okay, so we're not gonna have a whole lot of room here. Or too much extra shrubbery. So right now I'm just kind of trying to work out our shape roughly. I can still kind of make adjustments. Take that to about there. Kind of looks like one of those like arched cabins, and that's fine. Alright, maybe this is just how our cabin is built. Maybe it's really a shed. Alright, so I'm gonna work on filling that in. As much as I can here. Remember, you want to pick up off of your mat every so often. Okay. So there's that. So we don't have quite as much room for a full-on extended pathway as Bob's got going on there, and that's okay. Right? Like, we had to kind of scrunch this guy in there. And it's a lot easier to get the sizing and angles right on these guys when you're working a little bit bigger. Grab a bit more fluff. And see about getting this filled in a little bit better. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab the other end of this. And I'm just gonna keep working on getting that popped into there. Okay. Got that filled into there. Okay. Now I'm going to take another little bit of fluff here. And I'm just gonna kind of tap it into there. Right, because I kind of want to get the roof filled in just so that way, if we have any non-solid sections of white snow, that will be not as big of a deal. All right. So I think he's gonna end up adding another tree into this. If memory serves correctly. Because I'm pretty sure he's got enough time to do so. Establish my outline a little bit better. We come back in with our snow here. It's like that's starting to like kind of like bow inward or downward just because of how much fluff I've got worked into there. My cabin's kind of like downward angled here. Kind of downhill racer. Hi, hi, hi. Bean.
Mr. Bean, leave him be.
What is with that face?
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
That's not how we make friends. He's laying on top of Ed, just chewing on him. So, not perfect, but it's not terrible either. So let me grab the snow as everything goes flying. There. Alright. White. And I'm gonna need a little drop of water. Try to establish my snow here. Which might be a little tricky. Just because of the way the background is, and I don't have a whole lot of shrubbery separating that. There. So we'll get that kind of popped in there. Need another bit here. And then this guy, go take across there. Alright, now I'm gonna take another bit of our white here. So that I can get the door outline in. We are going to try to do. Snip that. Okay. Now I'm gonna grab some more of this. I could grab like a different shade, like a cream or something, but I'm gonna kind of try to go with our same shade of white here. Just to kind of add in some snow sticking to this side. All right, and you don't necessarily have to brush down the back. I just tend to because I find it helps it lay a little bit flatter. I mean, for this instance though, it's not going to matter so much because we're going to be mounting it onto a flat surface. And we need a little bit more just to kind of take us across the other side here. Right. And I need one more little fluffy bit for right in there. Now, if your fluff doesn't want to pull apart easily when you're trying to get just a little bit, you can also trim it. It's just the tiniest bit more. Kind of fill in up there where I missed. Okay, now we need a bit more of our white. So this time we're gonna make that a little bit more solid. And we're gonna work on getting our snow in. On our roof here. Okay. So we need just a little bit more snow. So we will lose part of the cabin when we go to put in our side bits there. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna put the shrubbery in there alongside. I might put something. Don't know if it will be quite as elaborate. As Bob's there. That's not so bad. We got some snow there. It was pretty tight in there. All right. I'm gonna grab just a little bit more snowy wisps. Kind of just drag from the bottom edge there. Just to kind of give us a little bit of snow buildup. Now we are right there at the bottom edge. So a good portion of this will also end up getting cut off by my frame. All right, now let me grab our denim color. And we can kind of establish some shrubbery down here in the corner. Not sure how much time he has left, so I don't know what all he's planning to do. I think if we can get the frame work started soon, then we might actually get done today. Give me that. Oh, he had another little bit of shrubbies kind of like over here. side. I don't think I'm gonna do the pink on these ones because I don't really see how the sun would be tinting the tops of those when they're on the side of the house. I did do that in some smaller chunkies here, and that's okay. The smaller little chunkies will help kind of establish the shape of our shrubbery. And then I've just got this other little set of shrubbies. Over here. That are gonna be a little bit smaller. Okay, so let me tuck that little bit of blue back into there. Okay. Now, when we last talked to Bob, he was getting ready to do something silly. So let's see, how much time does he have left in this? He's got 4 minutes left. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no, Bob.
What does he have?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, Bob. Oh, Bob. Bob. Really, Bob? A big old... Oh, 2 big honkers. Oh, I'm not going to be able to get the second one in there. It's going to end up getting cut off by the frame. Bob. Bob, when you scrunch them in like that, it's really hard to establish... Bob. It's really hard to establish multiples in there in this medium. Bob. Bob, it's just gonna look like a messy blob. I'd almost rather do a different type of tree. To be perfectly honest. And then he's got some more. Who is that meowing? Is that Ed?
I have no idea.
Sorry, it threw me in an ad that I could not skip.
but actually wilts.
Really? So then he's gonna dark highlight those guys. Alright. Like, I really don't want to do that type of tree here. I want to do like my teardrop tree. The teardrop trees are a lot easier in the space that I have there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Alright. He's then going to highlight those guys. And then he puts in a little fancy guy. Can we like, let's see. I found out that there's a hide button now, so you can hide the cards so you can actually see the end thingy, so that makes me happy. I don't know if it had been there the whole time and I just missed it, or if that's a new feature that they added. I don't know, but I am happy for it. Alright. I do need to kind of like establish a little bit more of like a snowy bit there. I probably put that in the wrong spot. Alright, so then this guy, I'm gonna kind of like put, that's probably a little high. Yeah, that is a little high. Alright, let me change that. And I'll kind of work on this guy. Kind of in there. Okay, I will deal with trying to get some more definition into that in just a minute. Alright, so I'm gonna do my own tree. Because it's really hard to get these trees in there in a very small space. For me. If you have no qualms about adding them in there, by all means, go right ahead. These trees are just a little bit easier for me. To kind of establish and work into there. It's just easier. It's still a pine type looking tree. Some sort of evergreen. But I just have an easier time shaping those guys. Now, because this is very busy for such a small thing, I'm only gonna do one of these in here. Yep, pop that guy up there. Alright, now I'm gonna put a little bit of dark highlight. That's the only way I can describe what he was doing there. That's probably too much, but we will see. We will see how that is going to work out there. Alright, so I'm just scraping the needle across it. I'm not pushing in, I am just running it along the surface. Kind of stretching out the fiber, spreading it out. So it wasn't like all bunched up necessarily into one spot. Okay, so let me pop that up. Alright, we need a little bit more shrubby action here. Just kind of sitting at the base of our tree here. This guy, I'm not really gonna have room for the fence. And that's okay. We don't have to put it in. If you want the fence, by all means, go ahead. Don't forget, Bob's working much, much larger than I am. And if you are working much larger than I am, by all means, go ahead and add that fence in. I am just gonna work on a little bit of our shrubby highlights here. Dark highlights, shadowy lights. Or shadowed snow. I don't know. Whatever you want to refer to it as, I suppose. So I'm just kind of pulling some strands off and just kind of like rolling it into kind of a flat ball. Not super tight though. Don't want it super, super tight. Just establishing a little bit of snow laying on those guys. I need a little bit more light. And I just kind of want to take this down the hill here. Not sure how much of that is going to be visible once we get the frame on. And we get this guy all trimmed up. Okay. Let me put the fluff back in the bag that we didn't use all of it. Alright, I'm going to take my protectors off. And I'm going to pop the needle closed. Alright, I'm going to stick that in my little supply bowl here. Okay, so now I'm going to grab our cleaning mat razor and I'm just going to run this down the back because I want to just try to pull off any loose fluff. Just trying to give it a little bit of a haircut. I probably need a new razor. This one's probably dull as can be. I thought I had a whole pack of them, but I can't find the rest of them. So I am not sure what happened to those. Alright, now actually I don't really need to do it on top of the mat here. Probably be easier if I'm not on top of the mat, actually. Alright, now the front of this will still be fine. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, I'm just coming in and just shaving off some of the excessive fluff, excess fluff. It's not going to hurt the front side. I mean, we're obviously not ripping everything off. I'm just kind of shortening the back side here. Just so we can establish a better, closer grip with the glue. And also, if this isn't quite as thick on the back, our frame will sit a little bit better. So now I'm going to pull off our tape here. And we'll get a better idea of what we're dealing with. Alright, now we're going to lay in our template. So it did expand a little bit off of the template. That's fine. It happens. So we're going to position the template where we want it to be. Try to get it centered so as much of what we have done is going to be visible. Alright, we're going to hold that in place. And then I'm going to grab my scissors here. I'm going to cut along the edge. I don't know what those cats are doing, but I just heard something crash in the other room. No idea what. I guess we'll find out later. Right, as long as they're keeping each other busy and nobody's screeching that they've injured themselves. Now, I'm going to sit that over there. Alright, so that's basically what we are left with here. Now I'm gonna take my scissors and very carefully just kind of shave down the very edge just to make sure I don't have any little fuzzies that are gonna like hang out the bottom or the top. That might be an issue. All right. So that's looking pretty good there so far. Now, actually, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. Just a minute. Alright, so now, actually, can you put him in the bedroom?
Yeah, what's up?
I need to plug my glue gun in. Alright. I need the tacky glue. I need my tacky glue cup. I need a glue. Where are my glue brushes? I thought I still had a specific one. Maybe. I don't have it in this container. Kind of figured I did, but you know what? We'll use this one. And okay, that brush might still be in my brush box, but you know what? That's alright. We can use this one. It doesn't have to be a specific one. Alright, there's that. And we need to plug in the glue gun. Move my microphone to the side here. I just don't want him jumping up here while this is plugged in, because he'll go to smell it or lick it. That's Bean. Okay. There's that. Let's see, what's the one that we've been using? That was the one from the base. Okay, this one. Okay. So we've got our guy. Where are we gonna put him? Alright, I'm going to close out that. And we'll put you there. See, this is why I was kind of zoomed out a little bit further. Give us a little bit more room to have everything in camera here. Alright, let me get some tacky glue. Don't really know that we need quite that much, but we'll start there. Alright, so do we want to go with dark chocolate or milk chocolate? I've only got a little bit of the dark chocolate left, so perhaps we should finish up using that. Okay. Let's figure out what side. Guess we'll do this as the back. And then we're gonna go ahead and try to sign that. My flamingo foot got a little bleedy there, so can you do it right? It's gonna happen. Okay, so this was Americana dark chocolate. Just acrylic paint. Right, and we're gonna start to paint the back of this in. You paint it whatever color you want your frame to be. This wind is crazy. Everything is blowing around. My recycling's probably blowing everywhere. Because we took it out the other morning. So my bins were full out there now. Now, before I was always painting the front and the back. I didn't really need to paint the side that's not going to be visible. I don't know why I was doing that, so probably not going to do that today. I'll probably have to put a little bit more paint down. And that's fine. So I did not gesso these. I think the first one or two I did gesso them. And then I realized I really didn't need to. This wood wasn't that thirsty. Some wood can be very, very thirsty. Some surfaces are just, it just vacuums it up and it's like, what? To where it just vanishes. And, but this one wasn't so bad, and it actually kind of made the paint look like a stain at times, depending on how many coats of paint went on there. So I was more than willing to just kind of be like, okay, that's fine. All right. I'm gonna leave a little tiny nub without paint on it. As a little bit of handle. Now I'll still have to do a little bit of a touch-up job after everything is all put together, but it's easier to do the majority of the painting now than later, because we can't really get the insides, this side edge of the wood, when it's touching the fluff without accidentally touching the piece itself. So we don't want to get paint on that if we can help it. Because at that point, it's on there. It lives there now. And this is just a shoebox container lid from the containers that I have my acrylic paints sitting in that are inside a larger container. It was just easier to keep them from all rolling around loose in there. It helps me find the colors a little bit better. They were sort of organized at one point. They're no longer that deeply organized. But at least they're not rolling around in there loose, and I can just pull out like a tray of paint, essentially. I would have just left them sitting out in their little buckets, but I don't have anywhere to put the little buckets. We're kind of cramped in this location. Stuff kind of has to be stacked and stored. We have to go vertical with our storage options here. Uh-oh. That was angry. That was not Bean. It was either Cow and Little.
I don't know, because Little was just standing there looking at me.
Who was it?
Don't know.
She had to have gotten pissy at somebody. She doesn't just make those noises for nothing.
Can you mute for just a second?
Alright, sorry. Husband had to ask me something. So we're just trying to find the ones that are least bendy. So the backing was just a 3" by 3" thin wooden square. I didn't realize it, didn't think about it when I ordered them, that the corners were rounded. It's not like a huge problem, but it is a thing. And then these are, I was originally looking for these like squared off popsicle sticks that I had seen that were a little bit sturdier, and I couldn't find them again. But I found these, and these are actually wooden drink stirrers. Stirring sticks. That take the paint fairly well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be number 5. And these are also my scissors can handle cutting them, or at least the old scissors did. We'll see if these new scissors can handle cutting these. I would think so, because these scissors are a little bit more sturdy. Now, if you don't have a container to paint these on top of, a piece of scrap paper is fine. Like, that's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm gonna need just a little bit more paint, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be number 6. Now I like using these plastic lid containers because then I can just wash them. Because, you know, plastic and craft paint, it's not really going to stick all that well. So, like, it'll be fine for today. Maybe one more paint session and then it'll start flaking off. So then I'll just rinse it. Scrape it with, like, a toothpick or something to get the bits off. And then we'll be good as new to go again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's probably too much for right now. All these guys are kind of bent. 7. Well, like, I got a pretty good sized pack of these stirring sticks. I got them off Amazon. I don't remember how much they were when I ordered them, but we've used, I mean, we've done quite a few magnets. We've done, what, 13 from season 31. We did do all of those. So 13, 14 from the first one from this season, and this would be our 15th magnet total. So 15 times, what's 15 times 8?
Not 120.
I don't know.
Should be 120, I think.
Alright, well, we've gone through 120 on just the magnets, plus I have...
Yeah, 120.
used some of these for little, like, gouache painting palette knives for when I needed something small but yet had a little bit of an angle to it. Yeah, so I did get a little carried away with how much I had put out again. So when I run out of this color, we'll probably switch over to the milk chocolate. Unless I have another dark chocolate. I might have tried to go get a secondary dark chocolate and couldn't. I might be able to pick one up soon, because we are getting a Michael's closer to us that we might be able to access. Oh, somebody come here. Really? I just need one of you. Come here. I didn't realize I had a secondary one in there. It was almost used. That explains a little bit. Okay, they put that guy up there. I'm gonna slide that up there. Alright, so, nope, that guy's still very much wet. You're dry. Enough. Okay, so we need to figure out our top and bottom here. Okay. So that one roughly for there. Alright, this guy there. Roughly. I might have to make some adjustments as we go. Now do be careful when cutting these with scissors, as they tend to fly. At least for me, they do. I think the other one flew behind me. Sometimes you can control it a little bit. If you're worried about it flying too far or hitting you in the face, you can do safety glasses, or you can like cut it inside a Ziploc bag or something clear that you can still see through. Get a gallon bag or something. That way if it flies, it'll just bounce around inside the bag. Okay, so that's our top and our bottom, in theory. Alright, so potentially there. Really? Doesn't seem quite. I guess so. And then this guy. Again, don't know for sure that these measurements are gonna be completely accurate. And if they're not, we will... Oh gosh. We will re-evaluate. That is probably as close as we're gonna get for now. Okay, these were my tops and bottom. Sometimes I do a decent job. Sometimes I do not. If I don't find that later, I'm sure Bean will. Okay. Now, a little bit of our glue here. And just gonna kind of brush that on our side edge here. And make sure that you rinse the glue out of your brush, or else you're gonna have a brush you're not going to be able to do much with. There. So I'm just going to kind of let that try to grip. For just a minute or two here. Just to kind of establish us here. All right, now I'm going to take the glue gun, and I don't want this very thick because we still have other pieces to this puzzle that we need to establish. Just kind of give that a little bit of a rub just wherever it seems like the hot glue ended up way too thick or ended up where I didn't want it. Just gonna rub the nozzle over it just to kind of melt it a little bit and let that kind of do its thing. Alright, so I'm gonna grab the other piece. and start getting some more of the tacky glue there. Now the tacky glue is just to kind of help it grab initially, because I don't want to burn my fingers. And the hot glue is more or less there to reinforce, essentially. Alright, so let me just try to get the glue rinsed out of there. Because the tacky glue doesn't usually take that long to dry. And I don't want it to muck up my brush here, because then I won't be able to use my brush for other glue things. So it'll be stiff and not really usable. Alright, so we're just gonna hold that in place for another couple of minutes, or until you think it's good enough. And I don't use very much hot glue on this. Like, I'm not, like, my hand is on the trigger, but I'm just trying to get a small little bead. And that little bead I am rubbing the nozzle against. Just to get it in there thinly. Like, I don't want it taking over. So, like, if you get a little too much on there, I mean, it's hot glue, you can't just stick your finger in there and wipe it off. You gotta be careful with your approach. Here, I'm gonna give that a minute now. Oh, it's a little short. It is a little short. What about this side? It's still gonna be a little short. Okay. That does happen sometimes, where I do cut it slightly short. Now, I could just, like, line it up to one corner, and then the other corner kind of use some hot glue to make a corner. That is an option. Or we can kind of center it and then kind of use the hot glue on both corners to kind of fill in the miscalculation. Kind of comes down to preference on how you want to handle that. Or if you have wood filler, you know, you could always use that. I don't have any. I really should get some, but I do not have any at this time. That does make things a little bit trickier. Suzu, it's not time yet. When is time change anyway? I know it's coming up. I just don't know when it is. 20, 26. Time change. Sunday, March 8th. Ugh, we're gonna lose an hour of sleep that night. Okay, so not this coming weekend, but the following. All right. Alrighty then. Okay. So let me try to smooth that out because I want this top to be as smooth as I can. Because we're gonna have another piece laying on top of it. Alright, so I can try to like bring up, like I can put a drop in the corner, right? And I can put the nozzle against it and kind of bring it up to kind of squish it into the corner there. And hot glue is paintable. So keep that in mind. This poor glue gun of mine has been through so much with me. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of let that cool for a second. Try to. And don't fret too much about glue strings at this point. It's all right. We'll get them. Don't worry. Okay. So while that is kind of solidifying there, come back over to our other side piece. And get that guy glued up. I think before I was gluing the edge to the top. But attaching it to the side seems to be a little bit better. Again, don't fret any accidental glue on the back side. Just, wipe it off where you can. Because like I said earlier, we're going to end up doing a paint touch-up when we're all done. I'm going to dry my brush just to make sure I got as much glue out of there as possible. Okay, now this guy, he's gonna fit a lot easier. For reasons, I don't know, but he's going in a lot better, so cool. And I'm just gonna push down on that, let that tacky glue get a grip there. Oh, dang it, it denied the message. But doesn't let me report it that way, does it? Hmm.
What's the matter?
Oh, Automod from Twitch actually caught one of those advertisements, and it asked me if I wanted to allow it or deny it, and I clicked deny, and it disappeared entirely, and now I can't report it.
Huh.
Unless it auto reports. I don't know. But I'm not seeing a way to report it now. I'll have to try to look into that later. Okay. Well, it did fit better. We still have a little bit of a gap in the corner, and that's okay. We're not gonna worry about that. Let me move my finger up out of the corner. Alright, so we're just gonna work on securing the side first. Okay. Now, we're gonna do the same thing like we did in the other corner. Little tiny bead, and I'm gonna pull it up. And I'm just gonna try to grab what glue strings need to be grabbed there. Now do remember, if you're squeezing where you've got a gap, the glue might come out said gap. So watch your fingers. I mean, you should be mindful of your fingers anyway, since we're working with hot glue, but some people forget. that we are in fact working with hot things. Okay, now we're gonna give that a minute to cool down just a little. And we're gonna grab our tacky glue again. And we are going to apply it directly to our square. That way I'm not wasting too much in the cup and then trying to transfer it over. So we are essentially building the frame for this guy around the piece. I'm just trying not to be too stingy with that. Alright, so we're gonna grab our brush and we're just gonna kind of smear the glue around in there and take it up the interior sides too. Like, you don't want it to be, it doesn't need to be an entire seabed of glue. Like, a coating's good. You don't need it to be swimming in the glue. But, you know, you want a good coat on there. Don't want it too thin, because it needs to grip the back of the fuzzy thing. But yeah, you also don't want it, like, just pouring out either. If your tacky glue, if your thick tacky glue is pouring, you've got way too much. Then you overdid it a little. So I'm taking it up the sides as best as I can without getting too messy with it. Just so that the edges can grip in there. Alright, so that's not bad. Make sure you check which side is right if you signed the back of it so it's not upside down. I have done that on a couple. I've glued some in sideways and upside down, and then when I flipped it over to put the magnet on, I was like, oh crap. And at that point it was too late. That's how it was. There was no fixing that at that point. Rinse the brush real good. Dry it. Okay, so we're gonna take our piece here, and I'm gonna take an extra bit of our wood that we cut off from building the sides of the frame, and I'm gonna use that to kind of push in the edge, just to kind of tuck it on in there. Just to make sure that we are fully encased in the frame. But sometimes you can trim it and it'll still be just maybe a squish big. Just a skosh. And it just needs that little bit of smushing in. Just to get the rest of it in there. Now, if you've got way too much that doesn't want to squish in there, then you might have to do a very careful emergency trim. But we are good there. Alright, I just want to kind of push the middle down against the backing just to make sure that we are good in contact to that. Alright. Now we have to establish our top of our frame. So now the top's going to be a little bit trickier. If it's slightly off. To adjust. Okay. Now, because I want the top. Not time yet, Zuzu. Add a little bit closer section here. Alright, so I'm gonna go with that. And I'm like getting ready to, I'm like pre-wincing because I don't know where it's gonna fly. Before I go any further, kind of measure that. Okay, that side's okay. This one, though, is a little strange. Okay, so that's better. Now, get that one. And some of these cut better than others. Okay. So if I pop you there and you there. Now, you don't have to do the side piece either. I mean, that's not a bad look either with just the top and the bottom done. You could call that a day there if you wanted to. Because again, it's your thing. You can do it how you want to. There. So I'm going to grab the glue brush. Now, I'm not going to use the hot glue here. At least I'm not planning on using the hot glue here. Because fingies and hot glue don't always get along with each other. I mean, I guess if you have those little hot glue finger protector thingies, but it's going to be such a small thing that you are probably better off not doing that. What side's the pencil? Alright. Not a big deal if you glue the pencil line side up. You'll just have to do a paint touch-up pass over it. And I'm not doing this super thick, but I'm not doing it like super thin either. You want to be able to tell that there is glue on it, because it needs something to attach to. Right, and it is fuzzy thing, so some of the glue might soak in a little. Okay, so now I'm gonna just put pressure on that, flip upside down. Right, because it's gonna be really difficult to get the hot glue in there and have it still be hot by the time you manage to maneuver your wood into place, and then, you know, burn risk on the fingers, so it's just better to not run that risk. Okay. So we've got two more, actually. Well, no, I still kind of need that. I was gonna say, I'll probably be done with that, but I'm not done with that yet. I can probably slide it over, though. Just trying to make sure I have the little gluey skin, glue flakes, kind of scraped off my fingers that built up there for a minute. Okay, now our little side pieces. These guys can be the trickier parts here to get lined up. So let me see about doing one at a time here. Alright, so that one. Okay, that is gonna fit pretty good there. And that one's not glued in place yet. Come back over to here. So I can kind of see here. Put that one there. That one there. Alright. Hopefully my measuring is not too off. Let's see. Okay, so that will fit into there. All right, so let me pull those pieces off. And I'm gonna grab some more of our tacky glue out of our glue cup here. Some of it did start to dry, but we can still, I think we can get enough out of there. Let me kind of just rub the glue off of my finger there. Alright, so we're gonna carefully, oh, I glued the wrong side. The pencil's visible. Dang. Oh well. It's fixable. Alright, so Zuzu is losing his mind in the background because he didn't get to go to the working place this morning. And he's trying to tell me that he believes it's time for me to start wrapping up so we can go. But it's really not time to go. And I don't know if he's going today. To begin with, because it is very, very windy out. I don't know, it's almost, well, I don't know what the temperature is. Windows 11 is giving me one temperature, but I don't know if I really believe it, because then I look up the local news station and they're giving me something that's usually a few degrees difference. So I don't know if I believe it. Let me just kind of get the little glue bits off of my fingers. As much as I can here, so I'm not depositing them everywhere, because that's no fun. At least I can get the worst of it. Alright. So I am attempting to get this to take hold, so I'm just going to kind of push down on that a little bit more. It's like, it's not like it's an E6000 where it's going to be like an instant grip or anything. It does take a little bit. Sometimes it needs a little bit of weight established on top of it. I was using my binder clips as like little clamps at one point, but the pressure on them can be a lot. And it was at times warping the frames, so I had to stop doing that. I don't think I need quite that much. I do need a much finer brush though. Let's try this one. Alright, so I'm going to grab just a little bit of paint on a very fine tip brush. Alright, and I'm just going to come back in and do a little bit of our touch-ups. Now, you don't have to do too much touching up if you don't want to. If you want it to be a little bit more distressed and beat up looking to give it like an older feel, that's fine. I'm just kind of coming in and kind of touching up in spots and touching over my raw edges from where I did cuts. And you don't have to be super picky about it either. You can leave it like a little bit distressed looking, like I said, if you so choose. Now there's some of that hot glue that we used to fill in that corner, and it is very paintable. Just have to make sure you give it a chance to dry. Now I'm not sealing my frame. I think in this instance with this piece, if you wanted to seal the frame, then you're definitely going to need to use a brush-on sealer. And just make sure that you don't accidentally get any on the piece itself. You know, take your time. Don't go too speed demon crazy just for the sake of trying to get done. We're gonna try to get that. Got a fuzz kind of hanging out there. It must have been a little bit loose from the front. And I mean, that'll happen sometimes. Alright, so we will work that into there. Oh my gosh, this wind. It's almost unpleasant for how windy it is. We never really seem to have gentle breezes here. It's either windy, balls to the walls, blustery, or it's barely moving. There's no real in between here. Okay. There's that. Let me rinse paint out of this brush. And I'll go ahead and dry that guy back in one of my brush buckets. Okay, give me just 1 second. I need to go and oh, I need to unplug the glue gun. Starts cool. I need to grab my magnet. I need to order more of these soon. Oh. And I need the magnet glue. Alright, so I'm just kind of letting the majority of that paint touch-up kind of dry there for a second. I mean, it's craft paint, so it dries pretty quickly. Right, so I think this container of magnets was maybe $5–6. Okay. So I do 2 magnets. And this is Gorilla Super Glue, so we don't need much. And we need to be careful and work quickly. So I am using a spare little bit of wood that I had snipped off of the stirring sticks. As my maneuver this into place, because we don't want to touch the super glue. We respect the art supplies as much as possible and what they're capable of. And we try to remember what they are capable of. Especially super glue. Alright, so that you kind of have to hold it for like 45 seconds to a minute to get the initial grip on there. It won't be completely dry for a little while, but to have it grip enough where it's not gonna be too silly. And you don't want to go crazy with this. 1 drop literally will be enough. Okay, I'm actually gonna swap sticks here. So I had that other stick and touching my hand And I just realized, oh, I don't know if there's glue on it. And when I was repositioning this one, I did get glue on it, so I don't want to accidentally put it back in my palm. That would be a disaster. Alright, so we're gonna make sure that that has had enough time to grip. Before I flip it over and we start messing with it. Alright, I'm gonna put the lid back on that. A, to keep it from drying out, and B, to keep it from spilling. I still have a good amount of that left, as far as super glue is concerned. Alright, and there we go. There is our finished magnet. Sorry it took me a couple of sessions to get that one done. We might do another magnet next week. I might try to work on something different. I don't know. Haven't fully decided yet. Depends on if I end up getting a small amount of wood putty. We might do tissue paper next week. I don't know. Maybe we should finish the magnet series before we work on tissue paper though. Maybe we'll do that. So let's see. What is the next one? So the next one is called Wilderness Trail. And it's giving me ads, so that's why I didn't put it back on the screen yet. Oh, it's a black one. Ooh. Okay, I mean, we've done the black ones before. Oh, he got fancy with it. Okay. That is gonna be really difficult to pull off this tiny. It's just gonna look like a blob of green. Like, that's gonna be tough. So we might either tissue paper next week, or we might do a different needle felt. I might like run through some of my photos and see if there's something we might do this size. We might do the that almost glued to the desk. That's not cool. I got a little bit of the Got a little bit of the glue on the magnet there. Oops. So, I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about it. It'll either be tissue paper or I'll do a different one because I don't... Gotta tell you, this season's been really tough to do. This small, needle felted wise. And, I don't necessarily want to work too much larger because I don't really have the means to properly do backings and stuff for a larger piece, like to frame it out. I don't really have any frames necessarily right now to do anything with that. So, we'll see. We'll see. Or maybe we, like I said, maybe we try to do a tissue paper in a smaller scale. But I could try to do a small version of the larger one that I did, since I have all the colors for it. Or something similar. I mean, that's possible. But I'll figure that out next week. Or over the weekend. We'll be back tomorrow for Planet Zoo. And we'll be trying to finish up the landscaping around the outside of the cat house. And then trying to figure out what to do about these crocodiles. And if I can actually get this boat ride in there, we'll see. That's an issue for tomorrow me to figure out, so I will leave it there. You all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for popping in. Don't forget to follow the socially links down below. There's a link to the Ko-fi page, there's a link to the Blue Sky, and there is a link to the YouTube channel currently. And I will see everybody tomorrow. Until next time, have a good one.